Hey everybody, it's Joe Andrews here. I have been the person organizing most of the aquatics talks here on Friday mornings. The week you're kind of getting a back in time episode that I just finally got a chance to rewatch. I was teaching a CPO class on that day, and Melissa filled in and covered for me. And I just finished rewatching it, and oh my goodness, so much good stuff on this. I hope you check it out, even though it's almost a month later. Sorry, guys. Really good discussion. Great input from everybody on it. So I would encourage you to check it out, listen in, and you can always go to www.aquaticstalk.com and see all of our past episodes and sign up to get onto our Zoom links to chat every Friday morning.
Okay. There you are. There's your lovely thing. Okay, we got Wesley too. I think I just promoted him. There he goes. Okay. Awesome. It's a slow roll Friday. Patrick is asking if we're all from the West Coast. I am in Oregon. Joe is in Oregon. And Christine.
I'm in Oregon.
We're just in different locations in the state. I can't remember where everyone else is from. Wesley, where are you from?
I'm Midwest. I'm in Chicago now, but Peoria, Central Illinois, Wisconsin, all around. But yeah, Chicago.
Okay. Oh, and Patrick is from Omaha. Awesome. My husband grew up in Nebraska. So, Chelsea, where are you from? Or where are you at?
I was gonna say that's just an easier question.
Different questions now.
I am in Oklahoma, down closer to the Texas border, but yeah, in Oklahoma.
I spent 2 years in Oklahoma City, or in Edmond, actually. But yeah,
okay.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm about an hour and a half south.
Okay, gotcha.
I like that we're representing the O's: Oregon, Oklahoma, Ohio. Well, yes, and then Omaha.
Yeah.
We were in Ohio before we moved here, so Oregon's our next goal.
It's beautiful here. We all love it.
We've certainly seen enough pictures of the family and everything and gotten really like, man, we'd love to do the PNW. That would be the next. We grew up on the East Coast, so for us, that would be the next like cool spot to go to.
There is one of our counterparts is leaving her job in Astoria, which is up in our northwest corner of the state on the coast. Tara accepted a job in Juneau, Alaska, and so she's leaving. I haven't seen the job post, but I'm sure one of us will put it in our group on Facebook.
Very cool.
Okay. Well, the first question that I pulled from the group, and I'm not fancy like Joe. It was a miracle that I got here today this morning. My 2-year-old did not sleep at all last night, so I'm operating on fumes. But Alex had asked, what is your policy or protocol for getting keys or uniforms back at the end of a summer season? So if you're seasonal and you have things that went out to staff that need to come back in, how do you get them back in?
Ooh.
Yeah.
For me, it's the beginning of the season. Now, obviously, you have to get to the end, but setting up the stage. How much money do I have for uniforms? What's my policy on reimbursement? Is it just a budget wipe where I know I'm not getting anything back, and I know 20% a loss, so I always start there. And then as we wind out, like for July, end of July, before people start going back, that's when I start collecting. So it's not like last day. It's how can I whittle the responsibility away from you so you can have it before you go. Again, that's getting a little deep, but then it's absolutely a charge, some sort of reimbursement policy. But I would start at the beginning of the summer and try to transition out whoever would be responsible, so they would never even be in possession of it. Not too layered. But
we used to have, we had really expensive stuff that we gave out, and finally, just like you were saying, Wesley, did the budget thing and got it down to where it was a shirt. And then we just had parameters for what kind of shorts they could wear, you know, and they had to have their own swimming suit on under their clothes, obviously, but that seemed to work, and we honestly didn't worry about getting it back. It was theirs to keep and continue to wear. And then we made it so that they could buy other ones, because usually if you want laundry, you're going to have 2 or 3 shirts if you're working 20 plus hours a week. So.
I mean, I get a key is different totally than a uniform, but I guess is if what is keeping you up at night is the fact that the person going away to college I would find a way to get the key out of their hand. And wipe away the losses, because no 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old is going to hold on to a key all summer long. 21, 22, and I'll lose the key. So I would, again, I don't know if that answers the question.
I know we're all strapped for time, but if you did an exit interview with anybody, like the seasonal help, getting stuff back then, and then, you know, asking, are you intending to return next year, and what went well, and you could maybe tie that all in. I know a lot of pools have a lot of staff, and that may not be feasible. So I agree with what's been said, though. We only do a t-shirt here. We're indoor, we're full year, so I don't expect to ever see the shirts back. And we actually have a key fob for the front door. So nobody except me and one of my board members has like a physical key to get into the building. So it's a touchpad, and that's worked really nice for us.
I will say one more thing on the side of just engage team. I have done a lot of activities where I will give the staff member, I don't know, I'm a Rubik's toy soldier something, and say, if at the end of the summer you can hand it back to me at your exit interview, it's like something tchotchke like that, but just as a way for everybody has something, and say, if you at the beginning of the summer, just say, hey, I carried this without me. That's more of like team building, is, you know, real safety and keys and shirts, but I've done that and stuff.
I'm a YMCA, so we literally just hand out t-shirts, but I can tell you that YMCA Camp Classen, which is where my husband works, when they hand out keys to their outdoor education staff, because they have to be able to get into the archery building, to all the different things, they have a sign out sheet at the beginning of the season that both the staff member and the director sign. And then if those, as part of the process of them leaving at the end of it, my husband's really good about making sure that all of those keys come back. So if it's keys you're worried about, there are processes to, you know, follow up on those. But as far as like clothing and stuff, we just hand people t-shirts, and that's just Y stuff that everybody wears anyway.
Yep. Okay. Next question. Nicole was asking about anybody that does a red shirt drill or a red cap drill or some kind of drill when you put somebody in the pool, but she's looking for scenarios that are not drowning. So that's the obvious one, that someone is in the water and needs assistance. But what would be other drills that you do with your staff or for your staff that don't involve drowning?
We've done code pink, where I take a pink ball and we implement a mid alert, and we hide the pink ball like almost like a balloon under a locker closet in a locker room, and we do code Adam, call it, but then that drill is to find the pink ball, and we eliminate underwater, eliminate deep water, like right away. In the scenario, we tell the staff, hey, they're not in the pool, they're not drunk, just like you're saying, but now we have to go to our search zones, we have to go to our, and then anyway, but we've done a lot of those things like that. We do one with fire, it's a red ball, fire start, anyway, those sort of stuff that leads into the help at all.
I think the problematic thing for red hat drills, they're great. I mean, they've been, you know, for a long time, but also you have to have extra staff, because obviously you've got to have coverage while those people are involved. And that's where we really did more with the 15 minutes ahead of a shift starting, and would do things, you know, we had several emergencies that were in dressing rooms where we had somebody that, you know, dropped from a heart attack, everything in a private dressing room with his wife. It was a tight space. But
Slip
you
and
know,
falls.
we wouldn't have done that as a red hat drill per se, because we would have had to pull people off the pool. So that's the hard thing when you're tough already for staff and trying to cover to have extra staff there. When that situation happens that you have extra staff, then it can be great, to do that. But it's a lost kid too, and out in the parking lot or in the concession area or whatever. Some of those scenarios.
We've put the ball, to your point, the pink ball in the staff office before. Like, just go check the office. Maybe they're hanging. It was a very short drill, but yeah.
I like that drill though, using a ball or an object instead of a person.
Yeah.
And getting them to think about that, because there's, at some of the bigger facilities and you have some blind spots or spots that kids can go hide, and a mom brings in 3 or 4 kids, it's easy to have one wander away. Our facility is very little. We've not had it happen here yet, thankfully, but it's a great drill to go through to get that staff in the mindset.
We literally had a 2-year-old in a locker that the bigger brother, the 4-year-old, had put him in.
Did the brother lock the lock?
No.
Okay. Yeah. I had like a 4-year-old girl fit into one of ours the other night, but I was in the locker room talking to her mom. So we both watched her do it. Like, she kind of tucked herself in, hiding while the mom was dressing the other girl. And yeah, those kids can fit into very small spaces.
To all those points, so I do a lot. I used to run the Ys of Chicago and have many of them as clients, but we would work with the fitness department and take their exercise balls that they can actually fit. To your point, Melissa, we would take an exercise ball and squeeze it or under a toilet seat or all these different places, because, well, a kid can't hide there. It got all the departments involved because they had to search their areas and they knew the equipment. Anyway, it kind of became fun, but you'd be surprised. Garbage cans, kids hide everywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Boxes.
Yeah.
Under things, behind things.
My 5-year-old's probably hiding as we speak.
Yeah. Well, my 8-year-old came in here and I booted her out, and she said she was bored already. So we run a kids camp all summer long, and so they're doing stuff outside. So then those workers have to even be more vigilant with where the kids are when they go outside. So those are good drills. I used to do I'd call them a red cap drill. So whoever was the victim would put on a cap and be in the pool. And usually I would just involve a patron for that, so that I wasn't taking staff away, but staff would have to cover the lifeguard who's getting in. So there is a hardship there. I have been kind of remiss in doing those this summer. We've been really busy and just kind of operating at bare bones staffing. So I actually did what we talked about last week. Today's Friday. On Wednesday, we knew that there was an individual coming into family swim that suffers from seizures, and the staff, the 3 lifeguards, they got in, and I told them, go practice your extrications, practice seizing, what it looks like, talk to each other. It's the 3 of you. I'm here. You come get me when you need me, but I don't want to take over. This is your pool. And so they kind of grumbled. Oh, one of them said, I don't have my suit. I said, okay, well, what are you going to do when you have to get in though? Like, that's not my problem that you can bring the suit. So they all go practice for 15 minutes. They come back out and they all look at me and they're like, that was awesome. We're ready to go. It was really good. Like, they were able to self-evaluate that getting in was putting them in the right mindset to prepare for the day. And then our seizure guy did not have a seizure, which was great. So, but they were ready to go. So I would highly recommend that for people looking to get in some extra skills. And then last week we had touched on doing first aid based scenarios, the stuff in the locker room or CPR, but sometimes carving that out before or after a shift is better timing than during the shift. Any other thoughts on that? Drills other than a red cap or a red shirt that happen in the water? Okay. Kat is attending her first LGIT Academy with Red Cross coming up. I don't know if anyone in here has done their LGIT. I know Joe went to it. Does anyone have any tips for her to prepare? Has anybody been to an LGIT academy with Red
A
Cross?
long time ago. It was books only. Follow the book. Read the book. Follow the book. Don't create on your own. Don't away from the materials. Know the materials. Know the materials. This 2 steps ahead of the material.
I know Joe said much the same thing. He had gone up to take one. We're in Washington. He had traveled to, or we're in Oregon. He had traveled to Washington to take it. And I'd asked him how it went. He said, if you do it, like, talk to me first. I will give you notes, because very by the book. So if you think your rescues are good, go practice them 10 more times and make sure that you're not even thinking about them, because they have to be very good, like textbook.
Almost memorization, I would say almost memorization of the information, because that's how to evaluate it.
Yes. Yeah. And definitely what you said about the going from the book and not deviating with your own, like, oh, well, I like to do this. Like, nope, just Red Cross.
They don't care what song you use to
No.
remember things. And in fact, and so I used to work for the Red Cross. This is dating me, but I ran all 26 sites in Chicago as the community course supervisor. Yes, I'll get you. And this was when you had to drive to all the sites. So again, this is like 05, 04, right? So not all the practices are the same, but the philosophy is the same. And as examiners, we were not interested in any thoughts that you had. Because if you weren't able to just show up and perform, then we started to ask questions. Well, what do we talk, right? So that's what it's about: executing the exact thing that they're asking for, thinking like the auditor, examiner, or tester, and saying, if I'm in the shoes of the person watching me, did I leave any room for doubt? Did I leave any room for error? Did I leave any room for them to question that I know what I just did, why I'm doing it, and what's next? I mean, if we're going to, so as somebody who sat in that chair years ago as an evaluator, examiner, it's really honing in on, did we hit every mark, and did we do it in sequence, and we do it without thinking? Anyway.
So. I'm fairly certain, and I might have this wrong, but when they morphed out of doing the shadow, like when you become an IT, right? I became a WSIT, so I went and shadowed. So I watched somebody teach the class. And then a couple months later, I went and I co-taught. So we had equal responsibilities, and that instructor trainer gave me feedback. And then my third one, I was in charge of like the scheduling and the formatting, and I would lead off, but I had another seasoned IT with me. And I was fortunate enough at that time, it was like 2004, to get 3 different WSITs or ITs in Oregon helping me. So I felt like I was really well-rounded when I came out of it. And then I had gone to like the mini IT, that just fundamentals of instructor training that we did. I actually took it in Corvallis with Joe's boss years ago. He was learning how to become an instructor trainer.
I remember
they called it back in the day.
Wow. I remember Fit. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So when I did that, I loved it, but I think that Red Cross wanted us to eliminate. They wanted everybody to be teaching Red Cross, like
cut out the 4 teachers. You had 4 mentors. They wanted
4 different people, not just like the one Red Cross way. So it was Red Cross, but it was also a lot of people integrating into that. So I think these AT academies are streamlining and making sure that all the instructors out there are teaching to the standard, the same standard. So yeah, quality control. Okay, so for Kat, just a lot of preparation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have my Fit book actually in my VHS video.
That is 0405. Yeah. Driving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sadly, I let my WSAT expire, and we won't talk about that.
Listen, you and I should have drinks sometime. I jumped ship to the YMCA right after that. It was during Katrina, actually. Anyway, but yeah, and then same thing happened. And anyway, yeah.
Love my WSAT.
Hold on to that.
Still feel like I could teach a class if I had to. I won't. Don't worry. All right, Garrett is acid washing his pool for the first time during shutdown. So he asked for like any acid washing tips, tricks. What do you do when you're acid washing? What to look out for? Anybody have any tips for that? Nobody acid washes?
What's his pool surface, or it's his tub tile?
He did not say, actually. He put up a picture and it was more of a, it looked like it was either plaster or concrete. It was not tile. Might have tile on the bottom. I'm trying to see if I can see all those comments. I've done my plaster pool once since I've been with my pool. So my pool is 20 years old and I've only pressure washed it once, and I don't think anybody else had done it before I came on board, because when I started here, the pool is about 5 years old. I've been here a while. And this, in the next couple of weeks, I will drain because I have to fix my main drain valve. So I have to drain the pool to do it. Which is kind of funny because I can't drain the pool because the valve is stuck. But when I do it, I actually hired somebody last time, and they came through and they used like a light pressure washer on it, on our plaster, and just did kind of like an easy once over. We didn't really target too much on it, to save the plaster a little bit. I don't really have any, I mean, you just have to be safe about it, make sure that no one's in that area. And watch the nozzle pressure on your pressure washer.
Well, and obviously the safety precautions using acid and who's
Mhm.
around, all of that. It can't.
Yeah, all the PPE and breathing apparatuses. Appropriate footwear, somebody talked about that. Rubber concrete boots, gloves, chemical gloves. Okay. Oh, Wesley is stepping out to make the kids lunch. Yep, that's all good. We've all been there. Did you all see the last week? I think it was last week. We had somebody post, if a child shoved his flip-flop down the drain of a splash pad and we can't find it, should we be concerned it would mess anything up? Does anybody operate a splash pad? I do not.
Mm-mm.
Comments were yes. Oh, Petra, good question. I wonder if Wesley's heard anything about it. We'll have to ask him when he comes back. I do not have that. Christine, the question is, anyone have the inside scoop on when and what the American Red Cross lifeguard curriculum will be like? Was their last rollout 2018 or 19? I'm thinking it was 19. 17? Now I can't remember.
I can't, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think it was 18. I had just heard like in the fall or in the winter, new lifeguard curriculum. I work at a croc and we audit with Councilman Hunksaker quite frequently. Hunksaker, yeah.
This one's the recent one, right?
Yeah, yeah. What's it? The copyright on the inside?
I do everything online now, so I mean, I try to keep the print publications. No, this one's 2016.
That might be right.
That could be right. Christine, do you know?
I don't.
I know it's been a while. Yeah, this one, On the back, it says that it's used stuff from like 2015 and then the 2011 United States Lifeguard Standards Coalition report. That could be it though. Yeah, I guess it is time for them to roll something out. I guess none of us are LGITs on here, so we don't know that.
Right.
Maybe we'd have like an insider scoop. Maybe not. Has anything else come up for any of you guys this week?
No, I just started a new position and I'm at a Croc Center. I don't know if anyone's familiar.
Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. We have one in Oregon.
There's 20. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah. And so, great not-for-profit, and I think they sit on a chunk of change, and they really keep their facilities like immaculate. I'm like it almost breaks my brain like how well. So they're sandblasting and repainting right now. So we're closed down for 3 weeks, and just browsing Facebook and I stumbled across your guys' group, and so I have the time right now.
Welcome. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, this is awesome. So yeah, I had come for a for-profit gym that's in the Midwest. It shall remain nameless.
Yep.
And they were just kind of a gym buying failing gyms that have pools, and they're kind of taking over and just don't know much about pools. So I had to jump ship, and so I go from like one extreme to like I go from like drowned at your own risk to like 1 guard to 20 swimmer ratio sort of thing. So just culture adjustment, as we all know.
Yes. Wesley, Patrick was just letting us know he's accepted a new position at a Croc Center. So he is working for the Croc now, which is awesome. Croc,
Yeah, I know
Croc
that.
does good things.
Yes, I know them well. I've seen a lot of conferences. Congratulations. Yes.
Oh yeah, thanks, Wesley. I see you post everywhere and stuff. So I think we're friends or colleagues on stuff.
Yeah.
Are you LGIT?
No longer. No, I'm too old and out of shape for that. I was many moons ago, and then taught for a long time. So I work with a lot of organizations now, but yeah, I'm no longer an LGIT, because my body can't put up with it, but my brain thinks that I still am.
That's good.
So about yourself, are you teaching classes?
I'm just an LGI and have been since 08.
Okay, yeah.
Just never found the time to get my IT, and then it went to this academy thing, which is like my phone cut out when you guys were talking about the academies, and those tips are helpful. My whole thing is the like application process, like, you know, all those prerequisites, like this is my chosen profession, but you know, I've definitely taught enough lifeguarding classes, and there's a need now for this organization I'm with, and that it's like, you know, they have enough resources to make it happen. I was with a lot of like just, you know, small pools or for-profit places that wasn't even on their radar. So it was like me having to start everything from scratch and get those letters of recommendations and stuff, and then find that 4 or 5 days to like. So, you know, I'm kind of paralysis by analysis. I just need to submit an application. Our aquatics rep is always changing in the Midwest, and so I knew the last one a little. So I don't know. I like the Red Cross really doesn't help themselves out when trying to like promote for themselves to make it so hard for people to become ITs and stuff.
Yeah.
I get it that they want that quality control, and it sounds like every IT I know, they're still, I guess I know one guy who went to an academy, but all the IT still active went through the old process. So
We did have that
Oh.
conversation recently. I mean, I don't know if you heard my, like when I got my WSIT, I had like 3 different ITs that I worked with, which was amazing. I feel like I could walk into a WSIT academy right now and pass it, but I can't because I can't show a teaching history because I am the executive director of this tiny district running around doing 20 jobs. I don't have time to leave. My bosses could write me a letter of recommendation, but they don't even understand like the lessons that I teach or the volume. You can give them a resume if I took a few minutes to update it, which I feel like I don't have. And I have a need to have people certified. My other WSIT that works here, she actually expired through COVID. And we've been trying to get Red Cross to help us out with that. And they won't even hardly email us back. So they're short-staffed or understaffed or misappropriating staff. Like I feel your pain, Patrick. In Oregon, we burn through a lot of different reps. We finally have one that's more consistent. And so that's been better, but it's a time thing. So for, I guess if I were in your shoes, if that LGIT is, if it's important to you, and it sounds like it is, and there's a need for you at your facility to train in-house instructors so that you're not running around teaching every single lifeguard class, pursue it, you know, help them write a letter of recommendation, give them a draft, and just turn in that application. I'm sure that you guys have more academies out your way than we do. We struggle to get like 1 a year, and it's always in Washington. We're trying to get with the Red Cross to have 1 in Oregon. I don't know if I'll get my WSIT back. I really need it. I like the WSI training. I love it for the instructors. I think it's a really good program to have. So that's just something, but on my like dumpster pile that's on fire, that IT stuff is down here. So I kind of just do my own in-house training. I don't know of any academies out your area. I don't know if Weston has any.
Yeah, I had the list pulled up, and if I get accepted, and I mean, with how rare those happen, I'll freaking fly to the moon to go to one. And then just in like my line of work, and probably this is what I hear similar, it's almost more valuable to have the WSIT. I mean, I can teach lifeguards till there's no tomorrow. Like, you know, if the problem is getting the students in the class, so finding like someone who wanted to become an LGI, I don't know. For me, it's like when it comes to swim lessons, what has happened in our locale is just like all these mom and pop either swim lesson or these storefront swim schools, like they're killing it in swim lessons. And so to think about a Red Cross swim lesson, they're at all these community centers, but I've just seen so many municipalities and places like go away from their Red Cross curriculum or straight up like copy it and not provide it on paper, so you don't have that teaching history. And plus we've just worked with so many like awesome like swim lesson whisperers who've just been doing this forever. They're either retired swim coaches, and they brand their own curriculum, they have their own LLC, they have their own underwriter insurance, and they can go rent these pools lanes that like can't even like barely have enough staff to do it. And we find working with those people is way more easy than the Red Cross. I'll shout out like this Face Up First curriculum. This lady like owns the lessons in Omaha. And if you like go on Yelp or Google reviews, it's going to be this lady's swim lessons. And so we can like go train our staff in that. And she's super generous with the curriculum, but it's not like that. I don't know, it's not that nationwide industry standard of like,
Doesn't have that stamp
Oh.
for the public to see.
yes, yeah.
Everyone knows Red Cross. They all
Right.
did it when they were kids. They know about it. It's a great name.
They can hear about the others, and what you're experiencing, Patrick, is very common in the fitness, lifetime fitness, park district industry. They're getting ripped out, peeled apart in Pilates and yoga and meditation. We're now seeing in swim lessons in our multi-faceted facilities, and then even the independent properties that are known in the community are getting picked apart by the one and dones, the buy the shop face, you know, get in them, right? So this is not uncommon. What I've seen a lot of people have success with is one of two things: either digging in and going all in on those independent instructors and marketing the you know what out of them and letting them tell their story and why you've invested in them and why you've brought them in and why you're giving them space and really rallying around them because they have a market base, or kind of letting them do their thing and building off a name, the Y, the Red Cross, something that the community buys into, and let that feed into that subset. So again, I've seen, if you pick one of those two strategies, in my opinion, you can have success. Double down on the independent and build through them, or let the independent stand and do their thing and find that local focal point that everybody can rally around. And maybe it's Red Cross, maybe it's a Y, maybe it's, you know, some other certification, but they've got to have that top of mind familiarity to be connected, if that helps at all.
Yeah, I've taught YMCA lessons. I worked at a Y. So actually, when I was 17, that's how old you had to be to become a WSI. That's how old I am in this industry. Yep. So I had to
70s,
wait till I
baby.
was 17. I've been teaching since I was 14, but I finally was able to enroll in that WSI class. I took it at the YMCA. And then I got hired at the YMCA. So they rolled us through. We would have class on Tuesday and Thursday, the same time as lessons. And then after we went through the class, we would get in and co-teach with another instructor who was already on staff at the Y. And our IT would be in the water going like to my class, going into Wesley's class, going to Christine's class, checking in. And so I had a really good foundation. I had already had the classroom management piece, teaching for 3 years and loving kids, but that's how I took my WSI. I was at the Y. And then they did their own YMCA lessons. They just used Red Cross instructors to teach
Right
them.
there, yep. Yeah, so many places, because you don't have a lot of places. I was in Peoria, Illinois. My high school didn't have a pool, right?
Yeah.
So you had to literally go across the river. And then we were at a high school pool who's doing high school swim meets while we're doing Red Cross. And oh, by the way, Jeff Ellis came in the mid 90s. And so they were doing, I mean, all in one pool. Like, anyway, yeah.
Yep. And Christine, what did you guys use at Willamette? Was it Starfish? Or did you have an own in-house program?
We had it all. I mean, we started with, when I first went there, it was Red Cross, and then we changed and tweaked that into more of our own program that fit the levels that we wanted to have and the abilities of kids going through. And we did do the Starfish program. Just so you guys know, I retired 3 years ago, so I was there for 20 years. I got you beat on the age thing, by the way. But anyway,
you can still feel old, though.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I feel so
I
old. I taught a lifeguard class that I didn't do blended learning. I said, oh, I taught these all the time in my 20s. I'll be fine. No, no, I don't. I can't.
Our brain
I need
forgets
to do
stuff.
that.
Yeah,
I was out for a week with exhaustion. I'm old.
You only make this mistake once, but when I was a young LGI, like stupidly scheduling the LG or the lifeguard class on daylight savings time, and you lose an hour. You're like, oh, never again.
That 6 a.m.
When you're
comes
in
on
college
early.
teaching them, it doesn't matter. Like you're running on fumes anyway, but you live that life. So you hit the 30s and things go south.
30s. I remember 30s.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish Red Cross were a little easier to work with because I feel like so my pool, I was a WSI and I kept it. I let my WSIT go because Red Cross shifted in like, when was that, 2011 or 12 or somewhere, where they were like marketing, maybe it was even earlier than that, where they wanted us to pay like $2 to $3 per kid that was enrolled in your lesson. And we
It
all
was at
went,
least 12.
why would we do that when we like only have to report that I taught one class for one kid per year to stay current? So we all played that game for a while, even though you teach like 300 kids a year or whatever. Like, no, we couldn't afford it. So I worked for the pool that I'm at right now was run by the city, and the city was like, we're not paying that fee. We're not going to be Red Cross anymore. And I'm like, but you want the training. So, and they wouldn't do it. They couldn't afford it. So Red Cross like outpriced us. They lost us. And then subsequently, I had no more use for my IT, kind of shifting to an in-house program that's still Red Cross undertone, because you have the director who's been teaching Red Cross since, you know, she's 14. And then when they kind of tried to revamp it and bring it back, it was almost like you'd missed, it was like a swing and a miss for Red Cross. So
Yeah, I think the important thing for me was in thinking about the different programs, because it seemed to every time they had a coordinator, the swim lessons changed to that person's desires,
yes,
you know, and so what happens is you lose the consistency with clients, you know, and a kid starts out and then 3 years later, the program's different and they don't know what it is, you know.
And that's what Wesley was just talking about for Patrick. Like you pick either that local person that's got their own little swim school and you help them and
Even contract them, maybe even, I mean,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of layers to that process.
Yeah.
But you get them in and you market the crap out of them, pardon my French, if that's the route you go, because there's revenue, there's sustainability, there's liability, there's protection, and there's guaranteed revenue per se, if you will, right, based on their history. Sorry, Melissa, I didn't mean to, but yeah.
No, it's all true though.
Well, I think it's really important that, you know, you have to plan for you not to be there.
Yes.
You have to plan for this program. I looked at it, it's the Park District's program. I'm building a program that'll live past me.
Yes.
You know, that kind of thing. And that's, if you kind of take that attitude with it, then it helps you figure out what you want to establish in that program.
HBTB, I used to have a huge sign up in my office, hit by the bus. If I was hit by the bus tomorrow, when you're all done celebrating and having a party, you still have to run this business.
Right.
And so we create every principle I've ever had, even as a consultant now for the last 10 years, is if I wasn't here and I got hit by a bus tomorrow, to your point, what would you do? And so, Patrick, all of this is leading back to, in my mind, is what's the most important thing? Is it the LGIT, or is it the revenue that would come from it and the sustainability behind it?
Right.
And I don't have the answer. These are the things that I talk about all the time. And Melissa and Christine said the same thing. And if it is the LGIT, then build out a 6-month, 12-month, 18-month business revenue plan that says, look, if I get my LGIT, this is what we're going to do with it, because we're basing our marketing on it and our programming and blah, 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 blah. Not that means it'll all happen, but at least you will have painted that picture.
I love that you just said that, because I always tell my staff that, and they're like, oh, don't say that. And I'm like, no, why? Like, I live like that.
I hand it to them.
By the best. And this pool is going to go on for another, you know, hopefully 100 years or more, whatever. And you all need to pick up and keep going. Like, so everybody is replaceable. We just,
I kind of make a joke.
Have our strengths. Like when Christine retired, it broke my heart because she's so fabulous at her agency, but the agency has to survive. And I take that mindset, what you said here 100%. And my board adopted it. Thank goodness. And we're all planning for the next board and the next director.
Yes.
And setting them up for success and not, you know, doing just what I know and love. We're pushing that industry. Like, what's the best practice and what's the best fit for the community? Ultimately, like for us, I think Red Cross probably is a really good fit. The water safety piece is huge. And I really push that with all of my instructors to go over life jacket safety with the parents, with the kids. We teach them to reach and throw, don't go. So for me, it's just sitting down and really, is the WSIT Academy worth it in the long run to keep this thing going? Or do I just try to keep finding local WSITs that I can pay to come in and train my staff? Or do I do it in-house? I don't know.
Big question.
And
Yeah.
I think also, isn't that kind of the success, Chelsea, of the Y, in the terms that they have, it's the Y's program.
Right.
Y has always owned the program,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
You
It's
know,
all,
and it-
all in-house.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
I'm just saying that's, to me, that
It's the
was a
same
successful
principle.
model.
Yeah, it's the same
Well,
principle.
For me,
They
it's
start with their own facilities, like
yeah.
the
For
Y
me, it's
owns the pools. Red Cross don't own a pool.
Right.
because I do come from the Red Cross background. And I only switched over to YMCA certifications about 6 years ago because we were working at YMCA's.
Right.
And it is convenient because I see my lifeguards starting to go down on stuff, and it's like, hey guys, I get an email that says, hey, I got to recertify you on XYZ. Their CPR, all of that stuff comes right to me, especially if they've certified with me directly. Now they do have certifications for swim instructor, but unfortunately what we're finding locally is that within the YMCA as a whole, there's not enough swim lesson instructor trainers to train everybody to do swim lesson instruction. So what the most of the Ys as a whole, especially with the pandemic, are doing is one person in the facility is trained as a swim lesson instructor. So they held the certification, and then all of the swim lessons are kind of underneath that person. And so for us, that's me. I'm the person who's the swim lesson instructor. And then I have kids that, if honestly, I'm super lucky. I have kids that are swim team kids that they're now working for me. And so they know exactly what they're doing. And we have a ton of curriculum. I actually have it all laminated, like right here next to me. They provide everything for you. So I can print out all the curriculum and they can keep it by the poolside and go step by step. And it tells them how long each thing should take. It tells them you have the skill and topic libraries that talk about all sorts of different games and different skill sets you can do to get the different points across. But and just like Red Cross is really big on safety, we're really big on safety too. So we do really focus on that as well. As you know, you pause for a minute in the lessons and you talk about life jackets, etc. Reach your throw, don't grow. All that, a lot is very, very similar to what everybody else is doing. So I think in the end, everybody's running the exact same program. Like really, really.
Sure.
It's the same thing
Sure.
when we talk about if you've been trained in a Red Cross lifeguarding and then you come to the Y, and I can only certify you in YMCA at this point. Because I've been both, I can say, look, Red Cross does some rescues better, YMCA does some rescues better. I think we had this discussion a few weeks ago that everybody calls them by different names, but we're all doing the same thing. And so it's like, couldn't we all just get together and make it one big happy family and just call it good?
Bottom line, that victim doesn't read the book in the end.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I have noticed with the Ys, so long story short, during the pandemic, I oversaw all 16 Chicago Y aquatic departments. There are only 13 now. So from south side to north side, I ran all the pools. And what I loved about what you were describing, Chelsea, is that through the pandemic, and even now I've got a lot of Ys on my roster, is you don't have to be an aquatics person to be able to absorb and implement what you just very well ran through, Chelsea. And many YMCAs are having to, and not just Ys, but all of industries like it, are having to adjust their staffing, right? So if I was in basketball, now I'm running the pool. If I was in the pool, now experience, I'm running membership. And we are doubling and tripling down on positions more than ever in park districts, YMCAs, like all of the properties like it. And because of the Ys Foundation and the materials you pulled, I've seen a lot of locations have much greater success in transferring that responsibility of swim lessons and safety with those materials, easy to explain. And so that's something that I think is missing, is I don't have an aquatics background, but I'm put in charge of the pool. And that is happening exponentially more since the pandemic in multifaceted properties. So having that foundation is essential. More times than not, in a multifaceted property, I've seen somebody in the last 18 months with no aquatic background being in charge of aquatics, versus before it was an aquatics person having more responsibility outside of aquatics Now I'm seeing it starting to flip, where I just need to throw aquatics underneath you because we only have one guard or we only have this happening. It's not that big of a program. Where before we would shy away from that, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Anyway, soapbox, but all to credit the Y and that foundation, which is something that every place should have, if it's their own or company wide. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I know.
good. I mean, like all good discussion points. Well, it's almost 10 o'clock. Does anybody who's here on the call have any like thoughts, questions, comments, anything that happened for you this week or in the last couple weeks?
Nothing specific. I'm curious how closing is going. I know last week we teased, some loss of staff or probably shutting down before Labor Day that wouldn't have otherwise closed. Are we able to sustain swim lessons? Was school going back earlier in some places? I'm just trying to get a feel for how, because you guys are most West Coast.
Yeah, in Oregon, like my third grader, she goes back to school after Labor Day. So the Tuesday after Labor Day would be her first day back. So we still have kids going. I'm still teaching lessons.
Has it always been like that? Sorry, were you guys
Yeah,
always?
it has.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chicago went back 2 weeks ago.
Up.
So.
Yeah. Our morning session for lessons wraps up next Thursday. So on Fridays, we don't run lessons. We go Monday through Thursday. So we have 4 more days of morning, and then we have 2 weeks of the evening lessons that go Tuesday, Thursday. And I'm teaching both because I'm losing some of my college kids back to school. They sometimes go back a little sooner, and a lot of them are all freshmen in college. So I've encouraged them to be like a human first, and the job is for fun. So that means I take on a little bit more of their load as we close the summer. So our indoor pool will close on Labor Day. We're closed on that holiday, and I closed for 2 weeks to allow myself time to fix those drain valves, which are becoming like a huge issue. And the pools in my area, we're in that outside the Portland metro, there's like 3 or 4 that are really close by. Like if somebody didn't like what I did here, they could drive to another pool pretty easily. Like it might take them a little bit, but we're all closed at the same time. And everyone's closing for 2. It's at least 1 week, and a couple are closing for 3. And I think it depends on like their load of what they have to do for maintenance.
Yeah.
But I know for me, my staff appreciate being closed that week of Labor Day because a lot of them are the high school students. And so they kind of need to get back in their routine of school. And then I need to see who's available to work. And then what hours we can be open for the fall, what we think we can do and what we can actually do. So that's what I'm doing up my way.
Great.
School started for our kids here in Oklahoma this week. So Monday, everybody was back to school. I did not plan on running any programs during August just because that's when everybody headed back to school. It's hard to do. But one of the things we do is we take a break between summer swim and winter swim. So winter swim is not starting up until October 17th. And so the girl that I had that is working with the swim team, she actually suggested to me, which was on my list of, please, can we do this? She suggested swim team prep. And so that is a brand new program that we just started this week, Thursdays. And it's basically because she grew up on swim team. She's now prepping herself to eventually take over swim team in the next couple of years. She's getting in the water and essentially running like a level 6 swim lesson with these kids where it's stroke refinement. We're looking at what level those kids are at and if they're going to be able to do swim team. We have to put in there, of course, this does not guarantee admission into swim team. You'll still have to try out, but we're seeing some good success with the program so far. So it's exciting to see a new program take off. And it's, as far as staffing goes, we're pretty well staffed. I only had 1 kid that was a college student that was actively leaving. And the kids that I have now are either local or, their schedule is free enough that we're making it work. So And I've got a couple that want 40 hours a week. So I'm not doing a whole lot of lifeguarding myself, which is kind of nice.
Nice.
I think I lost like 6 to college. Probably, yeah, 5 or 6. And then older ones that came back that were already in college, but they came back for a little bit. So I'm losing a lot, probably 10 total, which is kind of a big dent for us.
Yeah.
But we'll go back to modifying hours and being closed in the middle of the day, like 1 to 3, while everyone's in school. The pool kind of slows down. I also took a break from my lessons. So we end in August. The last class is like September 1st. We shut down, and then we're not starting lessons back up until the end of September. So during our shutdown in September, that gives the instructors that have been teaching all summer a break, like mentally, physically, they take a break. And then we can do some training for the lesson program. Our swim team season for high school starts in November. So we kind of squeeze in another fall session, like 2 to 3, and then we roll into high school swimming. So our community lessons they kind of take a hit because I only have so many lanes and so many instructors, and all my instructors are on the swim team. So if they're swimming and I'm coaching, then no one's teaching. So I'm trying to hire and find some moms or dads or stay-at-home people that maybe need some extra income that want to teach lessons.
Sabrina up in Tualatin, she
Yeah.
did an advertisement out to retired teachers to come in to teach swimming,
Yeah.
and even also did retired swim instructors.
Yeah.
And tried to look at that as a group that could potentially help out with the swim lessons.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. I had one mom so this mom signed her kid up for level 3. I was teaching that level 3. We started on Monday. This child is 5 years old. She has not passed preschool level 3. So in Red Cross lessons, you pass a preschool class, you go to learn to swim level 3. So in level 3, they should be able to float on their back for a minute. They should know a little bit of front crawl with some breathing. On the first day, I had to save her daughter. Her daughter was like this far off the wall and actively drowning. So the mom and I had conversations before because she had concerns about one of my younger instructors not teaching. And I'm to the point with this mom because she's not understanding, like, I actually saved your child. Your child is not doing things on her own. I'm going to actually try to get this mom to come work for us so she can see what we're dealing with, because she has absolutely, like, there's like this disconnect of my child can do all of this. I've seen it, to no, I saved your child. She cannot do it. There's a reason the instructor's putting a hand out while we're teaching, because your daughter is actually looking like a drowning victim, like drinking water, going underwater. And these parents are younger than I am. I'm 38. They're pushing us. Just let her go, let her go, let her go. And this poor 16-year-old instructor is like, I can't, like, she's drowning. So we're kind of at an impasse with that one. It's in all my years and in everything I've learned and talking to parents, this woman trying to get it through, she finally said to me, I think it was yesterday, I'm just going to leave her in. It's just fine. She'll just have fun and it'll just kind of be a waste, but she's having fun. So it's something.
Yeah. I was giving a mommy and me swim lesson, and there were 4 kids in the water just kind of swimming around as well. And I actually, one kid came over in the middle of our swim lesson, in the middle of the toys and everything. And he kind of came up and he grabbed the side and he did that like panicked look for a second. And I said, oh, hey buddy, here, can I move you where you can touch? And I just kind of put him over where it was shallower, and he was fine. And the mom went up to the front desk and said, I need to make a complaint. Somebody touched my child, blah, blah, blah. Like, she was pissed that I had the audacity to, in my professional opinion, say, I'm going to move your child to where it's safer. She's like, you were rude to my kids. You were horrible. I was like, how did we get there from this?
How did we get
I was so confused. But parents are parents, you know?
No.
Definitely, it's what you're going to deal with.
Yeah, usually they're always like receptive. I mean, I used every tool in my toolbox, like everything I know. You know, it's a new instructor. I'm working with her myself. I'm giving her feedback, but the parents were not happy at all about it. She's 5. She developmentally, when I asked her to do kicking, she did kicking. She could do flutter kick. Then I asked her to show me arms with the kick, and she went vertical.
Yeah.
You know, she couldn't kick and do arms. So then it was like this doggy paddle. I would have to hold her if I were teaching her. I would have to give her support to get that body position where I want it. So I keep telling my instructor every day, like, let her go, let her go. And then every day we try, but I don't know. It's just been one of those, it's kind of one of those summers of everyone's back. I call it, we're back from COVID, and the parents are now back to their normal, entitled and demanding selves that they've always been. Last summer, they were just grateful to be at the pool and in the water, and everything we did was good. And feedback was constructive and sincere, and we like this, but could you try that? And this summer it's been, oh, all of us on the bleachers just think that this is a waste of money. And I said, well, you're the only one talking to me. This doesn't do me any good if everybody has this mentality. Just come and talk to me. I'm here. I'm in my office. I'm at the front desk, wherever I am. And so they're all on the bleachers. So I'm going to start passing out applications to them. Come and work with me. When your kids go back to school, I'd love to show you what we do in the water.
Applications is go ahead.
One of the things that I did, because coming into a swim program, is that I did a parent handbook, and I started the conversation out that we were in a partnership with this child.
Yeah.
And thank you. And that really helped, because I was able to, in writing, give them information about the things we were doing and what we were trying to accomplish, so that as they were watching the instructors, they understood more of what was going on. Can I make them read it? No, but it was something that was helpful in terms of getting them on board, because you're in a no-win situation with that woman. She's
I know.
going to be the authority.
Yeah.
You know? And so you have to decide. There comes a point where you have to say, this is our safety protocol. This is how we're going to handle it. If this doesn't work for you, I'll give you a list of other pools you can try out.
Oh, I already did that. Yeah, the other day, I think it was Tuesday, I said, I will not waste your time or money. If your daughter is not getting what you expect out of our program, right now I'll give you a full refund, and you can call Nathan at Canby, you can go down to Silverton, you can call Brian at Woodburn, and I will, here you go. And she didn't even.
She doesn't.
Go ahead. No. We put out so after that incident that I had with that parent, because she not only pulled a past board member who came up and said, oh, I know so-and-so, and it was like, they're not even on the board anymore. So, what we finally did was we put out a jot form. And what that prompted was hopefully some feedback with the swim lessons to find out how they were going, and if parents genuinely had concerns. Because while the people that are pissed and are up in your face, they're the ones that they're going to be like, well, it's not doing what I want. Here's why, but the people that are genuinely concerned and say, hey, this might not be doing what I want it to do. Sometimes those people aren't as talkative. And so what we did was we put out the jot form, and it was a real quick, scan it with your phone, fill out some information. And it also ended up being like a lifeguard check, and was the lifeguard doing what they were supposed to as well.
Yeah, I was looking for mine. I have one just like that.
As a whole, our feedback has been very positive. So it kind of puts into perspective that one parent that's throwing a hissy fit, it's like, well, that's just them.
When I taught the last session, I pulled up my evaluation form and I showed my instructors, and they're like, are we supposed to do those? And I was like, well, I want them for me. Like, I'm teaching 4 kids. I want to hear from the parents. And they gave me all 5s, obviously. Does Melissa talk to us? Yes.
Well, who
did my child learn? Yes. And then it rates the lifeguards, and like, was the water warm? Is the facility maintained? Were the front desk staff able to answer my questions? And
Yeah.
But I like, Christine, if you somehow have your little, well, I doubt you have access to your parent handbook, but I'm thinking rapidly, I could probably make something in this shutdown that we have coming up, and then roll it out with fall lessons. And then the front desk staff here were like, you know, we need some more training with you, Melissa, on how to articulate levels and lessons and for our customer service piece, because sometimes I don't see these parents. They talk to the front desk staff, they go away, and I don't hear from them. And so the front desk staff, we're going to give them a little more training in the next few weeks on that. But I think I'll develop a parent handbook, copy of an evaluation form, job application, because I'm sure they can do it better. I'd love to have them on my staff.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Right?
Well, and there's something weird in Oklahoma where people are more willing to yell at your face, but they're a little more polite when it's in an email or something. I don't know. You're going to get chewed out sometimes in weird ways, but then like when it's face to face, there's a little bit more of a, oh, I understand why you're doing what you're doing, So the job,
I had a group that was, oh,
so I'm good.
I had a group that was eating one of my exercise instructors alive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I finally brought these people in, and I said, I asked them if they would come in. I said, I've heard your concerns. I'd like you to come in. And they came in with me, and I had a flip chart there. And I, first of all, educated them on what we were looking at for a water exercise session, a class, and the bell curve and all that stuff with it. And then as we were talking, the 6 people all had a different idea of what kind of music they wanted in class. And I said, did you guys just hear yourselves? That's the instructor's dilemma. You want country, you want jazz, you want this. This is the deal. You've got to be supportive of this person and realize that they're trying to accommodate 20 people in class. And I think the same thing can happen potentially with, swim lesson classes. Is the more you educate them on what you are trying to do and what you're trying to achieve and what your methods are, and the more organized it looks, the more they'll back off. If they think you're just making it up, then that kind of leaves you open to getting criticized.
Yeah.
Well, and on my end, I'm just the aquatics director. I still have a CEO as the head of the whole facility. So when this all went down, and I was, of course, astounded that because it wasn't just that they were throwing a fit about. She had 4 kids, and how dare I do anything, and blah, 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 and you were rude, and all of this. What I said to her after, we're obviously not going to agree, I will, she goes, well, I'm going to call your boss. I said, well, my name's Chelsea. You're welcome to call her. Her name's Jana, really straightforward. Like, I'm okay with you talking to my boss. And then on top of it, I said to the 2 staff that were there with me, I said, okay, we are all going to get out a piece of lined paper, and we are going to write down what happened so that you have a full account of directly what happened. And then I even recommended that they pull it up on the cameras. And so my boss, I called her and let her know, hey, you might get a call about this. But she was able to very clearly articulate and explain to the lady who was a past board member that they weren't rude. They were doing what they were supposed to, I'm sorry you felt that way, but we're okay with what our aquatics director and our aquatics department is doing. They were doing what they were supposed to do. And so I'm glad I'm glad I have that next level of protection up above me. So it's not all on me, because, they don't always all listen to me. They don't like me as much. I'm an anti-conflict person anyway. So I'm like, I'm so sorry. What can I do to help? And then I'm glad I have somebody else that I can pass it off to and say, hey, here's what went down. Here's what we did to address it. If you would do your boss CEO thing and handle it from here, that would be great.
It's really fun when you are the CEO and they complain about you and they don't know that you are the CEO. That happened this summer for me. I had a lady show up to my water fitness class. She showed up 40 minutes late, disrupted the entire class, refused to do anything that I was teaching. So I called her out a little bit from the deck, like, can you try this? Does it hurt? I can give you a modification. And she took that to be yelling at her and embarrassing her in front of the whole class. So she came out and was like, I need to talk to the director. And the ladies are oblivious to what's happened. They're like, oh yeah, Melissa's out teaching on the deck. Oh, her.
Yeah. That's got to be a little satisfying in the end, though.
It kind of was like, yeah. And then she and I had a nice phone call conversation, and I just listened to her say what was true for her, because it wasn't true for me, but it was true for her, and how she was feeling were her feelings and not me making those. Like,
Yeah.
maybe I said something that triggered something for her, but it was a good lesson for me again to remember to just sit back and listen. No ego, and then apologize for certain things, but not all of it. And then very clearly explain my expectations that if you take a class, you will be there on time or within 5 minutes, and you will try to do the moves to the best of your ability unless you need a modification. If you haven't, she said, oh, I can't do something. I said, I had no idea. You never told me that. You turned away from me when I was trying to talk to you. And my role on deck is to provide safety for you. I want you to be safe and I want you to be successful. If I had known you had this injury, and then it was, well, it's not an injury, I just don't like doing that. So, talking, we were able to get like a bigger picture, but yeah. And thank goodness for video cameras.
Yes.
Well, if anyone has anything else, let me know here. Otherwise, it's 10:20, so I'll let you guys get on with your amazing Fridays. Patrick, is that a yes, I have something, or a no, I'm going to get back to work?
No, back to work.
Yeah, my break room got really loud. I had to get up and shut the door because we're in between shifts.
Have a great weekend.
Is that an empty pool?
Oh,
Yeah, sandblasted.
Oh yeah, you said that. I'm sorry. Yeah, that looks
Oh, look
great.
at
I love
this.
the blues. Nice. Oh, look at that little structure. My pool's just a standard lap pool, so.
Yummy.
Yeah, we got one of those too. It's
Yeah.
great building.
Stop bragging about 2 pools. Okay, I got one. I'm trying to work on a bond for it too. Have a good week, everyone. We'll see you guys next Friday.